What's up, y'all? It's Dr. David Roney. Today's day 15, man, of 31. To be is a personal challenge that I sort of gave myself to post every day and submit a video to YouTube because I want to get more consistent with my content creation and really start to expand how I am reaching audiences and getting financial information out there. Again, I use examples from my life and no one else's to sort of teach financial concepts because, I grew up in poverty and I'm on this sort of journey to recreate and change the course and direction of those who come after me, right? I'm reading this book currently, Market Wizards by Jack Schwager, one or two, or three. It's a classic book. It's very, very good. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I didn't expect to enjoy it. There have been people who have dissuaded me from reading that book. I'm not sure why they dissuaded me from reading that book. It's pretty, in my opinion, my mindset sort of aligns with the principles in that book, right? People talk about their failures. People talk about how they got to where they are. And basically, it's a book that goes over, it's fairly old, but it talks about these talks with these traders, and there's interviews, and they talk about their failures, how they got to their position, what went right, what went wrong, and things they can do differently. But there's some pretty consistent themes, right? One, a lot of traders experienced failure early on, and it took them experiencing that failure to understand what they needed to do to change their behavior. Majority of their success was really just controlling their behavior. They didn't, majority of the successes are, don't trade emotionally. If you have a loss, be willing to cut your position. It's okay to be wrong, just be wrong, or recognize that you're wrong early and cut that position. Have a system, don't override the system. Lose a little bit, look for asymmetries, and win big, right? And it's interesting, right? I do see the fact that some of the traders became enamored with money and all they wanted to do was continue going. And then they started, when they got down big, they ended up trying to win it all back at once. And they forgot that they built that position over time, and they can just rebuild that position over time. They try to keep getting back. So that's another concept. But I think it's an interesting sort of mindset, right? I used to, I drunk the Kool-Aid and I said, Warren Buffett says, don't trade. We're supposed to be investors, don't trade. And so I put myself in that mindset, but I didn't understand why I'm not supposed to trade. Why am I? And I like to think, come up with my own reasons for why I don't do something. Not just absorb it from someone else, right? In math, you're taught to prove these formulas, right? Prove why this is. And if you can write the proof, you can understand why these things occur, right? I remember being at the Naval Academy, and there was a a proof I struggled with constantly. It was a proof of zero, right? It was in one of my pure mathematics classes, and I hated that proof. I can't even tell it to you today. But it took me to literally the final exam to understand how to do it, right? And finally, when I was able to do it, it clicked. Okay, that makes sense, right? Why zero exists. And understanding these things, these are just things that you're told. These are anecdotes that you're told over time. And so I believe the hype, and it's not that it's hype. And I don't think there's anything wrong with trading if you're using a system, if you are really thinking about it in a constructive fashion, right? They talk about using a mixture of fundamentals, technicals, and intuition, right? You've seen the markets over in these patterns. And I've listened to people over time, right? Some people as traders, they get celebrated, and other people get vilified. And I never understood that. Now, if you don't have any, like trading in a market to me seems like the varsity, right? Like you really got to understand what you're doing. When you don't understand what you're doing, that's when you're going to lose a lot of money, right? If you don't understand how markets move, and I'm not saying I want to be a trader. I think it's actually pretty cool. It's kind of exciting to think and really test your knowledge and expertise. Now, you could be wrong 100% and still get the trade right. You can be wrong and get the trade wrong. You can be right, but be too early and get the trade wrong, right? You could be right, be early, and still get the trade right. So, I mean, you got to really understand what went wrong. But, you know, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and shout out to Jason Buck. He was talking about, you know, what kind of trader would you be if you had to trade? And I was like, man, what different styles are there? So then that took me along the journey, right? So then I learned that there's scalpers, there's day traders, there's swing traders, and there's positional traders. And, you know, like, positional traders just mean that you stay in a position like anywhere. It could be a week, it can be months, it can be years, but like you don't intend to hold that position over time. And I think there's a lot of long-term, quote unquote, long-term investors masquerading themselves as long-term investors, but instead they're actually a positional trader. And I thought in my head, like, am I a positional trader? Like, and I've been thinking I'm a long-term investor. Now, there are positions that I do have that there are companies I want to be in for a long time, and I do hold ETFs for a while, so I don't consider that. But like, have I moved out of a position because my thesis was wrong? Absolutely. So I'm trying to figure out if underneath, like, what I was really doing was trading and not really knowing it. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. Check out Market Wizards. Check out How to Invest by David Rubenstein. I think these are just good books just to read. There's also one that Darren, or aka at Reform Trader on Twitter, suggested. It's by Jack Schwager again, but talks to hedge fund managers that I'm going to read as well. It's like Hedge Fund Wizards or something like that. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. Again, this is day 15 of my 31-day challenge. I think I'm getting there, man. I'm halfway through. Just got to keep going. I hope everybody's doing well. Talk to you later. Peace.